Presonus was kind enough to send me this review unit and allow me to keep it for quite a while so I could do this video. When you purchase the ES2, you of course get the device. You get a 1.5 meter USB-C to USB-C cable and documentation. The suggested retail price is $229.99 US. When it comes to the build quality, the ES2 is stunning. Its all-metal body weighs in at 1.5 pounds. It has vibrant lights with varied colors, smooth knob with minimal wobble, and the perfect amount of resistance. The buttons are firm and accurate. On the specs front, this is a 2-in, 2-out USB-C audio interface with a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. It's 24-bit with a sample rate of 192 kHz. It provides a whopping 75 dB of clean gain with a listed EIN of -129 dBu A-weighted. That means we're getting up there in the Rodecaster Pro 2 territory. The headphone dynamic range is 111 dB A-weighted. Let's talk about the layout of the device. On the front, you have a 1/4-inch instrument jack and a 1/4-inch headphone jack. While on the top, you have the 48 volts phantom power button, the auto gain button, channel 1 and channel 2 button, a mute button for the main output, a main button, a headphone button, and the volume knob. Plus, of course, you have the colorful LED displays. On the back, you have the Kensington lock, a power button, MIDI in and out, an aux USB-C port to power this from a wall plug, a USB-C port to connect to your device, 1/4-inch main output 1 and 2, and then mic line input combo jacks 1 and 2. First and foremost, the Quantum ES2 has zero trouble pushing these high impedance COS headphones. I wanted to pair this device with the Rode NT1 just because the low EIN and then the low self noise on the NT1 pair together perfectly. But can this drive the Shure SM7B? Is that 75 dB? Is it clean or is it not? I'm back on the Shure SM7B, and this ES2 drives the Shure SM7B without any issue whatsoever. I'm able to crank the gain up. When I stay perfectly quiet, the gain meter on OBS drops well below what would even register. When you get past 2 and 3 o'clock, there doesn't appear to be any gain stepping issue like you get with a lot of other audio interfaces. This device does have software that comes with it, and it is a universal control app. So let's run through that briefly. I have to record that in a different manner, so the audio may sound a bit different. But that is just because I'm on a different computer doing the screen grab for that. When you open the Universal Control app, you're greeted by this screen. So here you'll see you'll have a remote access. You can turn that on or off. I have not downloaded the app on my Android. It is available. Up here in the hamburger menu, there's some settings, but there's also some sensitive information that I don't want on the screen, so I'm not going to click in there. You'll notice that you have this remote access, and then you can mute remotely, and then you're able to select the device that you're on here. And since I'm plugged into this computer, it says local devices. And once you're plugged in and set up, you'll get the actual image of the device with some important information. Sample rate, of course, you can change. And then block size, which is more to do with the latency. You have your firmware version and other information. So if we just click on here, now we have launched the little lightweight software that we can use. You'll see up here we have the high pass filter. We could toggle on 48 volts phantom power. I'm not going to do it on the channel I'm on because it's a dynamic microphone, and it will come on the device. So anything I'm doing in here that would affect the device. So if I mess with the gain, it'll do it on the fill knob on the unit. Now the mute and solo, I'll reiterate this later in the video, but the mute button doesn't function in the manner that you would hope. You would hope it would be able to mute the input, but it does not. This would be muting to speakers out or to headphones out. On this side, you have your main output and your phones. You can adjust those dials. Say the device is out of reach and you just wanted to set stuff. You could do it through this universal control app, which I find to be really cool, especially when you see it on the unit, changing the levels of the volume for headphones or for input 1 or 2, etc. Over here you have a dim button, which just reduces some of the volume. It does not mute. It will reduce the volume a little bit. And then down here you have the mute for headphones. Down here you have this little button where it's mono or stereo output, so you could toggle that on and off. And these buttons down here toggle so I could link the inputs 1 and 2. But it's really lightweight, but still very cool nonetheless. And I'll get into later in the video about what settings are saved when you make alterations and use the unit in standalone mode. And then on here, say you get certain settings for certain microphones or what have you, you could come up here to scenes and you could just add a scene. So we'll just put in test and then we'll click OK. And then we could save test or load it or delete it or add other ones. So it could come in handy if you're switching between microphones and such with your applications and you just want to quickly get back to the settings you had stored. It's time for my pros and cons. First and foremost, on the pros, the preamps are stellar. The provided 75 dB of gain is plenty enough to drive any microphone that I can think of. Also, the auto gain functionality is extremely simplistic and probably implemented better than in most devices that I've used with that functionality. Another pro is the extremely low latency offered by the unit, but it comes at a cost, and I'll get to that in the cons. Another pro, you can bypass the preamps when you use line level devices input into the unit. Another pro is loopback. The Quantum ES2 allows you to take audio from your operating system or software application and send it to another application for the purpose of recording or live streaming. Another pro is another feature in the Universal Control app, which allows you to set up Quantum in one place and then control it from another part of the studio via the computer, and it makes that change on the unit. Yet another pro, some of the changes you make in the Universal Control app are saved by the Quantum ES2 system to be used in standalone mode. Those features include channel level, pan position, stereo link, solo mute status, channel gain, 48 volts phantom power or high pass filter status, plus main, and headphone output levels. Another pro is compatibility. You can use the Quantum ES2 with any recording software that is compatible with Core Audio, WDM, or ASIO. Another pro is you could plug the Quantum ES2 into your cell phone or tablet. You just have to make sure you have sufficient power through the auxiliary power port. Another pro, Presonus is kind enough to include 6 months of Studio One Plus. Imagine my surprise when I open the manual and there's a recipe for redfish courgette. That's kind of next level. I've gushed over the device enough. One of the nitpicks I have for the device is there's no way to truly mute the inputs. I was hoping they'd do that with the Universal Control app, but that just mutes the main output or mutes to the headphones. So everything is being picked up by the DAW or the live stream. The elephant in the room when it comes to cons is the inability to hardware direct monitor on the unit. Now, there's a workaround for this. You can do it through software, but I found it a bit puzzling, and I think a lot of other people will too, who are just used to traditional audio interfaces that allow you to direct monitor. I wouldn't call this next one a con. I would call it a little bit of a warning. Just make sure you have the proper power requirements met. So when I plugged into one of my PCs, it only has USB-A ports. They just weren't able to power the device bus powered. But in the other PC, I have USB-C ports, and they supply the sufficient amount of power. There's a little USB icon on the device. It'll go red when it's not getting sufficient bus power. I'll put a link to the wall plug they recommend when you want to use the auxiliary power. And my only other nitpick would be that loopback is only available on desktop. Overall, the Quantum ES2 is a stellar audio interface that blows away every other interface I've reviewed in this particular category. So this $230 and under category in this type of format. You can use this interface for a variety of functions, but I think it really excels when it comes to music. As always, thank you.